Good evening and welcome to NewsNight. Tonight we'll have all your international, national, and local news. I'm Brendan McNamara.
And I'm Leslie Krebs. From strikes coming to a close to invasive species and how they're being handled, we have all the need-to-know information about the latest breaking news.
Plus, find out more about a not-so-new discovery found right beneath our doorstep, and which feathered friend won the crown for Bird of the Century.
All this and more coming up on NewsNight.
More than 2 weeks after Otis went from a tropical storm to a Category 5 hurricane in a record-breaking 12 hours, Acapulco, Mexico finds itself in the early stages of recovery. Cars can now drive on the streets once again, past piles of rubble, downed trees, and power lines. There are long lines throughout the city, with people in desperate need of food, water, and medical supplies. The wealthiest residents of Acapulco left before the storm hit, but are now returning to their beachfront homes to survey the damage and salvage what they can. Some residents have complained that authorities did not provide adequate information about the storm. Even those who heard it was a Category 5 storm did not know what that meant. According to Mexican authorities, at least 48 people have died so far, with the death toll expected to rise once the debris is cleared. In a city that relies mostly on tourism, the storm damaged approximately 80% of the hotel infrastructure and about 96% of all businesses. Earlier this month, the Mexican government announced a $3.4 billion aid packages for residents, businesses, and hotels. The government says that basic services have been, quote, almost completely reestablished, and on Thursday ended the emergency declaration to the dismay of many.
A QAnon cult has taken up the rural town of Richmond in Saskatchewan, Canada. The cult's leader, Romana Diggillo, proclaims herself the true Queen of Canada and other titles such as National Indigenous Leader. Diggillo is a far-right extremist conspiratist who has amassed a following of tens of thousands online, hundreds across Canada, and a group of roughly 10 loyal followers who gave up their lives for her. She is not only a political leader to them, but she is a spiritual being who frequently communicates with aliens and is a being with many different powers from another dimension who is trying to save this one. Back in September, Diggillo was gifted the town's local school by loyal follower Rick Manns, who has since been arrested. She and her close followers have since taken up residence for the past 2 months. Among living in the school, the cult also held a so-called meet and greet on October 14th, where they performed a strange ritual that made her new recruits declare her their sovereign leader in the promise of gaining a large amount of her fake purple currency. The townsfolk are now becoming increasingly worried and are making attempts to not only push the cult out of their town, but hopefully eradicate the group. This fear comes from the group sending cease and desist emails to townspeople and the mayor, threatening to execute them on live broadcasts if they don't accept her as their sovereign leader. Mayor Brad Miller said, quote, "When I go in my hot tub, I feel like I can't go now and just sit there enjoying myself. I feel like I need to have some kind of protection with me," end quote. For now, the townspeople are protesting the group by honking and blaring their car horns while circling the school, as well as screaming at cult members to go home. A new statement released by the Vatican allows transgender individuals to partake in religious baptisms. Reporter Logar Abdus has the details of the story.
Transgender individuals can now be baptized and become godparents, according to a statement released by the Vatican on November 8th. The announcement comes in response to a list of questions surrounding LGBT involvement in the Catholic Church, submitted to the Vatican by Bishop Jose Negri of Santo Amaro in Brazil in July. Argentinian department head Victor Manuel Fernandez submitted the answers to the questions that were then approved by Pope Francis on October 31st. Pope Francis has attempted to make the Church more accepting of LGBT individuals during his tenure. He has previously stated that while same-sex activities may be a sin, same-sex attraction is not, and encouraged parents of LGBT children to stand by them rather than cast them out. This groundbreaking announcement from the Vatican concerning transgender individuals, however, does not come without caveats. being baptized can only occur where there is no, quote, risk of generating a public scandal or disorientation among the faithful, end quote. The same is true for becoming godparents, where the decision is also left up to, quote, pastoral prudence, end quote. Still, this announcement serves as a step in the right direction for many Catholic LGBT individuals and organizations.
Thank you, Loger. New Delhi was ranked the most polluted city in the world last week by the Swiss air quality company IQ Air. The city is undergoing toxic foam and thick smog covering the Yamuna River and the surrounding areas. The foam itself consists of sewage and industrial waste that contains a high level of phosphates and ammonia. This can result in respiratory and skin problems to the 2 million residents who live there. While pollution is no stranger to the city, the coverage and the smog have raised concerns as the government is now imposing an odd-even rule to mitigate the number of people on the roads and outside. This will be dicey as the river is also used by citizens for religious purposes, posing risks to their health. Back in March, NewsNight updated you on the growing population of Pablo Escobar's invasive hippos in Colombia. Reporter Catherine Greisinger has the most recent details on what steps Colombian authorities have been taking to combat the threat to their natural habitat. Catherine?
3 hippos were sterilized on Tuesday in Colombia as part of a larger initiative to control the large population of hippos that roam in some rivers. These hippos, who are descended from pets of drug lord Pablo Escobar in the 1980s, have no natural predators and have been declared by experts to be invasive. The government estimates there are nearly 200 hippos in Colombia and, without intervention, estimate that number could grow to be 1,000 by the year 2035. The sterilization of these hippos cost nearly $10,000 each and was just the beginning of a plan that includes the sterilization of 40 hippos per year, the transfer of some of them to other countries, and possibly euthanasia. According to the Chief of Environment Office overseeing the plan, David Echeverry Lopez, this costly procedure is complicated because they are aggressive 3-ton animals with an oversupply of food, so baiting them is tough and can be risky for both the hippos and the animal health personnel. Still, no plans to cease this process are currently considered.
The winner of New Zealand's Bird of the Century has been announced. The Puteki Teki, also known as the Australasian crested grebe, captured the win with over 290,000 votes, the most votes in the Bird of the Year contest according to Forest and Bird in a press release. The Puteki Teki gained mass amounts of traction after late-night host John Oliver campaigned for the bird to win. Behind the Puteki Teki, all other birds in the competition received almost 13,000 votes or less, such as the North Island brown kiwi, which came in second place, the kia, which came in third, and the kakapo, which captured fourth place, with the Piwaka Waka fantail coming in fifth, the only bird in the top 5 to not get over 10,000 votes. Patrina Duncan, the grebe coordinator for Forest and Bird's Central Otago Lakes branch, said in a statement that, quote, "It's great to have a successful bird as an ambassador for all New Zealand birds to show that even threatened species can bounce back if we give them a hand," end quote. When we return from the break, find out about a series of events labeled a nationwide act of terrorism. Plus, a major drought causes an abnormal phenomenon in Hawaii. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. After 6 long weeks of striking, the United Auto Workers have reached new deals with the 3 largest American car manufacturers. These contracts will reinstate previously lost benefits, provide large wage increases across the board, and reopen the Belvidere assembly plant for Jeep maker Stellantis. Workers at Ford have overwhelmingly supported the agreements, with another 146,000 more workers expected to vote on the agreements in the coming days and weeks. Across the 3 companies, workers stand to gain a 25% wage increase, which also extends to temporary workers, who are among the lowest paid. The 2-tier wage system, instituted in 2007 during the Great Recession, will be modified to lessen the amount of time it takes to get to senior pay. Currently, it will take a worker 8 years to reach senior pay. However, the new contract shortened that time frame to just 3 years. The biggest win for the UAW is the reopening of a Stellantis plant in Belvidere, Illinois, which was closed in February due to declining sales and the company's transition to electric vehicles. Stellantis also plans to build a new battery plant in the area. Despite these huge wins, the automakers did not get everything they asked for. Originally, they demanded a 40% increase in pay, which was eventually reduced to 25%. It also failed to secure new pensions for employees hired after 2007. Instead, they set up 401k accounts. Finally, the workers wanted to move towards a 4-day work week. However, the automakers did not support it.
Election offices in California, Nevada, Washington, Oregon, and Georgia were threatened last week with letters containing the drug fentanyl, as well as other unknown substances. Fentanyl is the latest growing opioid in the U.S. as it is nearly 50 times stronger than heroin and can be easily mixed into various other powders and made into pills. In this case, it was not being used as an agent to cause harm to the workers of the offices, but rather to incite fear. Many are calling this a national act of terrorism. Washington was forced to evacuate 4 of their offices, those offices being located in Spokane, King, Skagit, and Pierce. Spokane and King came back with positive test results for fentanyl, while 1 other letter tested as baking soda. Pierce County also received the following message in one of the letters. It read, quote, "End elections now. Stop giving power to the right that they don't have. We are in charge now and there is no more need for them," end quote. A pentagram, an anti-fascist symbol, and a progressive pride flag were also featured in the letter. These letters were found to be similar to the letters that were sent to the offices in King and Okanagan back during the August primaries. Fulton County in Georgia was targeted as it is one of the largest voting areas in Georgia, as it includes Atlanta is an incredibly important presidential swing state. Lane County in Oregon is further investigating the piece of mail sent to them, but no workers were harmed by the unknown substances. The U.S. Postal Service in California was able to intercept 2 pieces of mail headed to election offices in Los Angeles and Sacramento. Meanwhile, not much has come from Nevada, but Democratic Secretary of State Cisco Aguilar's office mentioned they are aware of the letters sent to the offices. For now, the FBI and U.S. Postal Services are working to locate the source from which these letters were sent. A breakthrough transplant surgery could potentially change the lives of many. Reporter Logar Abdis is here with the details. Logar?
New York University Langone announced on November 9th that surgeons had successfully completed the world's first human eye transplant. 46-year-old Aaron James, an Arkansas native and military veteran, was the recipient of the breakthrough procedure. James had suffered a work-related high-voltage accident that destroyed most of his face along with his left eye in 2021. The operation, which took place last May, required the help of over 140 healthcare professionals and lasted 21 hours. In addition to the eye, James also received a partial face transplant from the same donor, a feat equally as daunting as the eye transplant himself. Experts cautioned against the surgery, warning of the potential for the eye to shrivel up or for a brain infection to stem from the procedure. However, 6 months after the operation, James reports that, quote, "It still feels good. I don't have any movement in it yet. My eyelid, I can't blink yet, but I'm getting sensation now," end quote. Though James is still unable to see out of the transplanted eye, experts hope this is an important next step to curing blindness.
Thank you, Logar. The police officer involved in the killing of Elijah McClain was found not guilty in his trial last week. Elijah McClain, age 23, was killed on August 24, 2019, in Aurora, Colorado by officers Nathan Woodyard, Jason Rosenblatt, and Randy Rosadima, who put McClain in a chokehold and administered a lethal amount of ketamine, which resulted in his death. McLean was unarmed and had no previous criminal record. Nathan Woodyard was found not guilty on the charges of reckless manslaughter and criminally negligent homicide. McLean's mother expressed, quote, "It lets us down, not just people of color, it lets down everyone. They don't do the right thing. They always do the bare minimum," end quote. Trials for the two paramedics also involved are set to take place later this year. A pond in Hawaii has turned a peculiar shade of pink. Reporter Juliana Brock is here to explain this natural phenomenon. Juliana?
The water at Kalia Pond National Wildlife Refuge has turned to a bright shade of magenta. The water has been this color since around October 30th and has changed due to an extreme drought. According to CNN, Kalia is one of the few coastal salt marshes on the island of Maui. The meaning of the word Kalia means salt incrustation. However, the pond's salinity has greatly increased due to the drought. According to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, the University of Hawaii took water samples and found that halobacteria is one of the leading causes of the magenta-colored water. Halobacteria are organisms that thrive in water of high salt concentration, such as the Dead Sea and Great Salt Lake. The entire island of Maui is dealing with the drought, and the exact location of Kalia is considered an extreme drought, being the second worst according to the U.S. Drought Monitor Scale. Water feeding into the Kalia Pond comes from the Waikapu Stream, which passes through the West Maui Mountains, also being a part of the extreme drought. The lack of fresh water coming into the pond creates an ideal environment for the halobacteria to live, causing the water to turn the bright magenta we see today. According to CNN, scientists are looking into how climate change will continue to impact Hawaii, but they are anticipating the drought to worsen.
A Harvard physics professor broke a world record this past week for the fastest time running across the United States. Professor Jenny Hoffman began her journey in San Francisco and ended it in New York City, a total journey of 3,000 miles. Her ending time was 47 days, 12 hours, and 35 minutes, beating the previous record of 55 days, 16 hours, and 23 minutes by almost a week. This was Hoffman's second attempt at beating the record, as she almost completed the journey in 2019 but had to stop due to an injury. After the break, hear about Pittsburgh Shelter's preparation for the winter months. Also, stay tuned to hear about a winning $2 million lottery ticket still needing to be claimed. Don't go anywhere.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to
Daybreak.
Chicken Guy opened in PPG Place on Monday.
The bridge would open before the 1 year marks to check out the 20th annual gingerbread display.
Share with you this week's ray of sunshine.
We are still somehow hanging around in the playoff.
It gives Georgia Democrats some hold onto the governing body.
200,000 people still in harm's way.
This weather is perfect for those cozy nights indoors.
Welcome back. The Allegheny County Department of Human Services has announced that it will be able to house 450 people this winter after adding dozens of beds to the 2nd Avenue Commons shelter. The county said it has 370 beds available now. However, on November 15th, 80 more beds will open. According to KDKA, the county has increased its shelter bed capacity by about 65% over the last 2 years. Earlier this week, the City Public Works Department started clearing a homeless camp along 1st Avenue. However, there are no plans to reopen the Smithfield Street shelter, which saw many complaints from nearby business owners. The county is partnering with the city on an emergency weather plan for the coldest and harshest winter nights, which includes opening a backup facility if a shelter reaches capacity or has issues.
A potential new segment of the Underground Railroad was recently discovered in New Brighton, a town located in Beaver County. It was discovered after maintenance workers were fixing a plumbing issue underneath the Merrick Art Gallery. This is no surprise to officials, as this area was a prominent location and stop for escaped slaves on their journey to freedom. Officials aren't sure what the exact purpose of this tunnel was, but many are theorizing it was a tunnel connecting to the railroad. This proves truthful, as the tunnel was found to date back to the 1800s. Some are connecting it to the local legend that the James Edgar house across the street had a tunnel underneath, which slaves could use and arrive in safety inside the house. They believe this may in fact be the tunnel. Local historians believe it was somehow involved in the railroad that would take them to safety in Canada. The journey would take them to the Ohio River and then lead them to the Beaver River, where they would then continue their journey following the North Star along stops. Historians also say the local Quakers in the area would aid their journey by providing safe houses for them to stop at in not only New Brighton, but Bridgewater and Darlington. Officials aren't sure of exactly how many people came through the tunnel, though they were also able to dig up old relics and glass from the nearby demolished church. They're hoping to keep digging up the tunnel and reach the other end 62 feet away, where they then hope to offer tours through it in the near future. In other invasive species news, a Pennsylvania local won a wrestling match against a slithery opponent. Reporter Juliana Brock is here with the results from the showdown. Juliana?
A man native to Pennsylvania is one of the 5 men who successfully wrestled the second heaviest python caught in Florida. Carter Gavlock is native to State College but now resides in Florida, where he works as a representative for fishing companies. Gavlock and his friends, Holden Hunter and Trey Barber, were driving around looking for snakes on Friday, November 3rd, when they stumbled across something they did not expect to see. A 17-foot, 2-inch long Burmese python weighing 198 pounds was sitting on the side of the road the men were driving down. The men originally thought it was a log until they realized what was in front of them. Gavlock told CBS affiliate WTAJ, quote, "We were joking about finding a 12-foot snake that night. I don't think any of us were prepared necessarily mentally because it's 17 foot too. I know I hopped out of the truck and I was out of the truck before it stopped," end quote. Gavlock, Holden, and Barber received help from a father and son driving down the road so that they could all 5 wrestle the snake. The process took an hour before they properly put it down. The men plan on getting the snake mounted as it is the second heaviest snake ever killed in Florida. Gavlock told WTAJ, quote, "In turn, it helps out the environment by taking these snakes out of the wild. You know, they are eating the deer, the possums, the bobcats. With them eating lots of those animals, it takes away a lot of prey items for the Florida panthers that are already kind of in trouble," end quote.
Thanks, Jules. So what is the best Pittsburgh beverage, you might ask? Yinzers have an answer for you, and yes, it's exactly what you are thinking. Turner's Iced Tea was founded in the 1970s and has been a staple of Pittsburgh culture ever since. Now, you're going to be able to enjoy a Turner's Tea without even leaving your house to go get one. The company announced they will be releasing their tea mix, which will allow you to make 2 gallons of tea per singular bag you purchase. Directions include, quote, "Simply mix water and the powder and voila," end quote. The mix is being sold and is ready to ship to all 50 states. It is the first time that the company has decided to distribute packaged mix of their product, from cartons to bottles, and now a cold glass in the comfort of your own home. Pittsburghers believe Turner's can be enjoyed just about anywhere. A lottery ticket sold locally is a big winner, but someone has yet to claim their reward. Reporter Catherine Greisinger joins us in the studio with this story. Catherine?
3, 11, 26, 29, 30, and 38. If these numbers mean anything to you, you may be the lucky local holding a lottery ticket worth over $2 million. Pennsylvania lottery officials have confirmed that the Shop and Save on West Pike Street in Canonsburg sold a winning Match 6 lotto ticket, but the winner has yet to be identified. The winner has 1 year to come forward and claim their prize to become $2 million richer. The Washington County grocery store will also be receiving a $10,000 bonus for selling the winning ticket. Although this does mean that the jackpot will be reset, it will continue to grow daily until the next lucky winner is drawn.
This past weekend, White Oak Tattoo Parlor Madhouse Inc. held the Tats for Tales special. The flash event offered $50 tattoos for people, with proceeds going to the White Oak Animal Safe Haven. The event took place Friday and Saturday, bringing nearly 300 people. The animal shelter just recently rescued a dozen cats from a haunted house. So Madhouse Inc. was also accepting donations for animal food and treats to give to this shelter as well. You can still donate at whiteoakanimalsafehaven.com. When we come back, we'll have your local Pittsburgh weather update. Plus, after many months of striking, the SAG-AFTRA board has come to an agreement. Stay tuned.
Regular physical activity is one of the most important things you can do for your health. The benefits of physical activity include brain health, weight management, reducing disease, strengthening your bones and muscles, and improving your ability to do everyday activities. So, it's time to get up and be active.
SAG-AFTRA's National Board of Directors approved a tentative agreement this past Friday, ending the nearly 4-month-long actors' strike and resuming several productions and promotions. The vote among board members was 86% in favor of the 3-year film and TV contract. The tentative contract addresses the core issues that drove actors to the picket lines in July, including higher minimum pay, increased payments for streaming shows, and improved health benefits, as well as protections related to self-taped auditions and the use of artificial intelligence in filmmaking. It was also announced that the contract would include requirements to engage intimacy coordinators for scenes involving nudity or simulated sex, a first-time guideline for guild work in Hollywood. The Writers Guild of America, who actors joined in strike demonstrations, ended their strike last month, which began in early May. Moody's Investors Service estimated that the new contracts will cost the studios an additional $600 million a year in costs for production. With Thanksgiving break just around the corner, NewsNight weather reporter Aaron Ute is here to tell you what to expect for your Turkey Day forecast. Aaron, what have you had for us?
Thanks, Brendan. It's almost officially that time when we can relax with our families, friends, and food. But before we get to that, let's look at the forecast for tomorrow. Tomorrow will be a beautiful sunny day with warm temperatures reaching in the high 60s, narrowly approaching the record of 71 degrees set in 1927. It's the perfect day to be outside putting up some holiday decorations. Tomorrow night the temperature is expected to drop to the mid-40s and there will be an increase in dense cloud coverage throughout the night, preparing for those rainy day that follows. Now let's look at the rest of the week. As mentioned, Friday we will see a bit of rain throughout the afternoon, but as this weekend rolls in there will be nothing but sunshine and brisk, cool days. Temperatures throughout the upcoming week will stay in the low 50s, and rain is expected to peak through on Tuesday and Wednesday. But don't worry, because Turkey Day is going to see the warmest temperatures of the week at 55 degrees and the return of sunshine. all of the early rising, deal-grabbing Black Friday shoppers out there, next Friday is going to see plenty of sunshine and cool temps, so be sure to bundle up for your bargains. That's all I have for you this week. Now back to the desk.
Thank you, Erin, and thank you for tuning in to this episode of NewsNight. If you want to see more, check out our social media pages on both Facebook and Instagram at UView Television.
You can also check out more episodes on our YouTube channel or our website, uview.pointpark.edu. I'm Leslie Krebs.
And I'm Brendan McNamara. From everyone here at NewsNight, thank you for watching and have a great evening. We'll see you next week.